Hey everybody, happy April Fool's Day. Just wanted to kind of share what I've been up to. So the suspension issues are all sorted out. Got new struts, strut mounts, sway bar links. Total price is $700. I gave him $750 because he did a great job. Tim's Automotive Solutions in Oceanside. He's a local surfer too, so that's really sick. He's a friend of a friend, and I'm excited to go surfing with him here, hopefully sometime this week. I'm also bringing the van in there to get an oil change and some other stuff. But yeah, so I just got back from a NorCal trip. I drove this thing all the way to San Francisco and back. It's been rock solid. So originally started heading that way because it was my friend's last week in California. So I chased him up there. We surfed at Ventura, Campus Point, Rincon. After he left, then I continued north and I stayed in Santa Cruz for about a week and a half, and got to surf out at Steamer Lane. Said hi to somebody in the lineup. That was Federico, really cool dude. He invited me out to this lounge for food and drinks after, and hung out with his other friend Martine. Cool dudes. We surfed Steamer Lane. We also surfed at the Hook. Me and Federico had a hard time getting back in because there was a strong current during the swell, and so I was getting worked because you're paddling basically against the current to try to stay up in the lineup where the waves are breaking, and if you stop paddling, you just drift back down. So I had to paddle all the way up to the lineup, start paddling kind of up and around to try to get across to like the cliffs where the stairs are, and you start getting swept down in the current and stuff. Anyway, like with the swell and the high tide, there's this corner in the cliff face where the stairs are, and I thought I was good to go. I jumped down in the little sandy spot from the rocks. I was kind of running to the stairs, and this wave just came and crashed into the rocks, into the cliff face. Me and my board got wrecked. So the tip of my nose, my rail on my board got dinged up pretty bad. I had to, it was through the fiberglass, so I had to cut out the loose material, put a huge glob of Solarez on there. Then it got dark out, and it didn't cure, so I had to wait till the next morning, put it in the sun, then it hardened up, and I was able to sand it to shape. But, kind of bummed about that. And then that was the first session when the swell was really strong. We went out the next day, which was like my last chance to surf with those guys, and we had a really good session. We all caught waves. I had a nice ride where I got a couple turns, kicked out the shoulder, nice exit to the ride, and it was awesome. Sorry, I got a loud truck next to me that just started up. Go away. Bye. Okay, so yeah, that was like the last chance to surf with those guys. So even though I got bashed into the rocks and had like a terrible session that one day, paddled out the very next day. We all caught waves. It was a good time. Sunny, chill session. The current wasn't as strong. Then I headed north and I checked out San Francisco and Half Moon Bay. Got to see like the spot where Mavericks does its thing. There was no big swell, so it wasn't like nuking there, but yeah, so like Mavericks can get psycho, like 100-foot waves. Obviously I didn't get to see anything because there wasn't any action when I was there, but yeah, Half Moon Bay is a beautiful beach, and then just like that whole coast around there too, like if you kind of head south of that, there's just miles and miles of beautiful beaches. I drove into the city, managed to find some parking miraculously, and got a slice of pizza and got out of there because it's kind of a zoo, and it's not really a good place to have a van, but it was really cool to see just the architecture there. And I drove on like those steep, like sketchy hills where it's like down, flat, down, flat, down. I thought about hopping out and doing a hill bomb on my skateboard, but you kind of don't want to do that without spotters, and I don't even know the city yet, so probably a good call not to just like bomb a random street and get hit by a car. But yeah, it was a beautiful city. I loved like the different colors of the houses and just kind of the old architecture there. And yeah, just like the hilliness to it all. So yeah, and then I drove just like 8+ hours straight from Half Moon Bay to Oceanside, which was exhausting, but it was really cool to see all like the farmland there. So there's just like huge, plots of land where you'll see just miles of grapevines and trees and stuff like that. And yeah, had like made some phone calls, talked to my parents for a while, and my family is a farm family, so I was telling them what I was seeing and stuff, and they're all interested to hear what the farmland is like out here compared to the Midwest. So I got some exciting plans for this week. I'm going to cut a big hole in my roof. I bought a Max Air fan and some other supplies on Amazon, shipped it to my friend's house here in Oceanside. Shout out to Will for letting me. I'm going to be using his driveway and his tools and stuff, so always appreciate that very much. But yeah, stay tuned for the fan install. I'm going to, film the whole process of cutting the hole in the roof and, hooking up the electrical and all that stuff, making sure it's sealed tight and waterproof so I don't get water in here when it's raining. And yeah, it should be a huge quality of life improvement because it gets so hot in here with no ventilation. So yeah, so like usually I've been just like kind of cracking my sliding door. And one time I was sitting like parked next to a curb kind of like this, and somebody came and grabbed the handle to my sliding door and slid it open. And I was just literally sat there. I was like, "Hi, can I help you?" And what the situation was is there was a guy, there's like a father with his son, and he said like he didn't speak English very well, but he was like, sorry, like he is special is what he said. And I was like, totally cool, I understand. Yeah, it wasn't like I was a little startled at first, like somebody just slid my door open. And like I don't know if you can expect privacy when you're like van lifing in the city sometimes, but yeah, kind of jump scared me a little bit. But yeah, so having a ceiling fan, I can actually keep my door closed and it'll be a little bit safer. I'm glad it was like just that and not like somebody who was about to jump me. So yeah. Also, just like a couple odds and ends too with van stuff. So when I was in Austin, Texas, my passenger window went down and didn't go back up. And I was like freaking out because it was like 2 hours before a show that I'd purchased tickets to at the Comedy Mothership to see Ron White, Ari, and Joe Rogan. And my window, went down, wouldn't go back up. I'm in the middle of the city in Austin. Can't leave that unattended or else someone's going to steal all my stuff. And what I ended up doing is, I was looking up, how to troubleshoot it and stuff. Determined that it was probably, the master switch is on the driver's side, and there's a wire harness in the door. So when you're opening and closing the door hundreds or thousands of times, I bought this used, all of that repetitive motion breaks those wires. And so there's a loose, brittle contact. What I was able to do is with the door open, I wiggled the wire harness and held the switch, and the passenger window went back up. I was so pumped. Like I was at the skate park in Austin, like trying to figure this out, and it was like super hot out, and I was like just like losing my mind because I was like, what am I gonna do? I bought these tickets, like what about sleeping tonight? Like, is this gonna be safe? Super happy that like that worked, but I haven't used my windows since because I don't want them to go down, not go back up. So I get this oil change, this week, but then I'm also going to like bring this back in to get that fixed. And then another thing is when I'm at like a hill stop, like a stop sign on a hill, and I start to accelerate, there's like a little bit of a lag, and then it kind of like, I don't want to say like knocks because that sounds really bad, but like just like a little bumping sound like when it engages. and I don't know if that's some kind of a loose bushing with like the drive shaft, or if it's, I hope it's not a transmission issue, but who knows. We'll see. But something that I try to remind myself is, if you do have a used vehicle, there's a slight inconvenience of having to get some things fixed here and there, but the reality is you're still saving 20 to 30 grand versus if I had bought this thing for, I paid 17 grand used as opposed to buying a new one for like $45,000 to $50,000. And so even if I put a freaking transmission in here and, swap one out from a junkyard, and it's, thousands of dollars, but you don't have to buy a brand new one, that's not going to happen. Like, it's not going to be the transmission. I really don't want it to be. So like, that's what I try to remind myself is, even if you got some repairs here and there, you're still coming out way ahead of buying brand new. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to, and stay tuned for the fan install video, because I'm going to film the whole process, and I'll have that hopefully posted by next week sometime. That's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to keep trying to upload weekly, so be sure to subscribe so you can stay tuned, and I'm going to be hopefully making some more valuable, like, educational content. Right now I'm just trying to be consistent, keep uploading, but I'm going to have some like useful tutorials coming out soon in terms of finance and, van builds and all that stuff, because I want to provide value. I don't want to just like entertain. So yeah, have a good day, and take care.